Thomas the Hermit here, and this is the second part on sex and the lay contemplative. Now, integration becomes the key to sex and the spiritual person. Integration is a term that we're going to use because sex, the very powerful energy, needs to be integrated into the psyche. Integration is what we need to talk about when we talk about sex and the lay contemplative. Whether you're married or single, chastity is going to be different. But the proper focus of that energy becomes the focus of our integration. Now, what do I mean by integration? Well, Freud talked about the shadow. And a lot of times the aspects of the sexual drive is a part of the shadow. And he told people that the shadow needed to be integrated into the psyche. It needs to be integrated into the mind. Now, sex is not evil. And so do not be harmful to yourself because you have a strong sexual drive. A strong sexual drive was created by God. That did not come from the devil. Now, the distortion of lust comes from the devil. And of course, the devil does try to tempt people to fall in this particular area because this area is very problematic and can create much scandal within the church, within public life, within families, etc., etc., etc. We know the damage that happens from lust. But in the lay contemplative, the integration of sex, not the rejection of the libido, but the integration of these powers, these forces, is the key. And how is that done? Well, it doesn't happen from harming yourself, and it doesn't happen from oppressing yourself, although you cannot condone breaking God's law. Okay, but we're going to start with God's law, we're going to start with the teachings of the church, and we're going to obey them. Now, when we obey them, if there is brokenness within our minds, that will start to surface. And this is where God's mercy comes in. Now, if you sin, as it says in James, He is faithful and just to forgive. So, if you have to, and you need to keep going through the revolving door of confessional and constantly seeking His mercy, then do so. Do so. That's why it is there. His mercy is there to help us along the path to grow. It's not there just so we can be forgiven once or twice. As human beings, we are much more broken than that. I hate to tell you, we're much more broken than that. But His mercy is extended to us so that we can grow, so that we can even gain great heights in spiritual life. So, if you fall into a sexual sin, go to confession and go seek His mercy and go and try again. Keep trying. God will not reject the person who keeps on fighting the good fight. If you want to play with God, that's another matter. I suggest you don't do that because God's not fooled by you. He's not fooled by any of us. He knows us. He knows us better than we know ourselves, and He knows if we're playing games with Him. But I'm going to have a contrite heart and a contrite spirit, and I'm going to go to Him again, and I'm going to try again. I'm not going to lie to myself. I'm not going to tell myself that I got it all together just yet. I'm going to deal with what is not working right. And sexual problems will usually rise to the surface quicker than anything else. It is a great indicator to see what else needs to be healed inside of us. Now, being impatient with yourself in that you are not at a better place than you think you should be, or getting angry at God, etc., all of that is sinful. You know? Do not expect yourself to be better than what you are. You are what you are. But don't despair in that. Don't despair in that at all. So is everyone else is in the same boat. All of us are blind to things that we are doing. We are blind to this and blind to that. You could say that confession and sexual sins are always a good indicator that we're not yet quite right with God. But you can use that as a tool to help you to get better, to learn humility, to learn to get closer to Jesus. When I fall, I want to get closer to Jesus because He will heal me. He will make me better. He will set me higher upon His mountaintop. It is one of the most powerful forces that a man or woman has. This powerful force causes a family to be made. You will take a self-centered young man and a self-centered young woman, and when they fall in love because of God's design of be fruitful and multiply, when they are drawn to each other, they begin to give to each other. And eventually, in that giving to each other, a child is born. And when the child is born, a family is formed. That is a powerful, powerful integration of the sexual power that is within the man and the woman. That's what a family is based upon. And that's why families can be very, very strong, powerful units. And that is also why adultery is so serious. Because it takes the power, the attraction, the glue, libido that keeps the family together, and it disperses that energy to places that it is not supposed to go. So, the lay contemplative needs to learn purity. Purity meaning using your sexual drives and your mind, because we also have to have a pure mind as well as a pure heart and a pure body, okay? But that energy is used within the keeping of God's law. That means that if you are single, you will not involve yourself in masturbation, fornication, or adultery, and you will also stay away from making your mind impure with pornography or other things that will cause you to fall. Now, on the other hand, if you are married, you should give yourself to your spouse as is needed within your marriage. You will not withhold your body from your spouse. Any lay contemplative who is claiming that, who is married, who's claiming that they are now giving themselves entirely to the Lord and withholding from their spouse, their wife or their husband, is sadly mistaken and is actually sinning against chastity, believe it or not. So chastity is not about not having sex, it's having sex within God's law. The purity that you achieve in doing God's law in regards to sex is so important. It is at the basis of being a human being. And when you do what you are supposed to do and you integrate it properly, it is a clear indicator that you are clearly on the path. You are climbing the summit of Mount Carmel. you are in the way of perfection, if I can use the words of Teresa of Avila. This is a very important indicator of how successful you are in the integration of your psychological self in line with God's will. This is Thomas the Hermit. Keep fighting the good fight, but when you fail, rely upon God's mercy always. Do not rely upon your own strength. Keep fighting the good fight, but when you fail, ask for his forgiveness and mercy. Go to confession often. It will help you. It has helped me many, many times. It continues to help me to climb higher towards God's light. It has helped me to become more pure over a long period of time. I have fought sexual addiction my whole life, and only in the last few years have I begun to conquer and overcome with the help of God's mercy, his love, and his grace. And I guarantee you, it has brought me into a closer relationship with Jesus Christ. Say a prayer for me. I need it as I'm praying for you. I'll talk to you later.